Truck buyers pay for actual badges. Then the payment turns brutal and the upkeep turns nasty. Today, we break down 7 pickups sitting too long, priced cheaper than they should be, because the market chases hype. We call the right years and the checks that keep your wallet safer. Number 1 has a shocking simple twist. Number 7, Hyundai Santa Cruz. This truck is cheaper for a dumb reason, but it stays reliable for actual daily life. Santa Cruz gets laughed at by truck culture, and that disrespect is your cheaper opening because buyers want a realer body-on-frame badge, and they skip this unibody on site. The funny part is this truck was built for actual life. Commuting, light hauling, weekend gear. And it does that job with reliable hardware and widely shared parts that shops can get quickly. When we see one sitting in listings, it is usually because the bed is shorter, the styling is polarizing, and shoppers default to Tacoma habits. But none of that changes the powertrain math. If you want the calmest, longer ownership, target the 2.5 non-turbo 4-cylinder with the 8-speed automatic because it keeps the feel smooth and the service routine predictable. If you want a quicker pull, the 2.5 turbo comes with a wet dual clutch, and it can be solid, but it demands more respect in traffic and more attention to fluid history because bad habits turn into costly drama. New price starting around $28,750 for a base trim and climbing into the low 40s when fully loaded. Used price. Most clean listings land around the mid-20s, with a common spread from about $20,000 to low 30s, depending on miles, trim, and drivetrain. For buyers, the unique angle is that this not a truck label gives you features old-school mid-size trucks still struggle with, like a quiet cabin, a planted ride, and handling that stays stable when the road gets rough, which is why commuters enjoy them. On camera, show the bed details and storage tricks because this truck wins on practical design, not macho talk, and the lockable storage and drain points are a quick way to spot a cared-for owner versus a lazy one. Your inspection is also simple, and it starts with behavior, not hype. Cold start it and listen for odd rattles, then do a parking lot creep and feel the takeoff, because the turbo dual clutch should stay smooth and consistent, not jerky and confused. If it is all-wheel drive, confirm the system actually sends traction without warning lights, and do a slow, tight turn to listen for binding or clunks, because that is where hidden damage shows up. Check tire wear on the inner edges, because alignment problems chew rubber quickly, and that is wallet pain you can see with your eyes. Open the bed storage, check for standing water, mildew, or broken drains, because water damage becomes electrical trouble, and that gets expensive quickly. Look at the hitch area and the rear bumper for dents and bent metal, because a light-duty truck that was used hard usually leaves proof back there. Ask for service records, and if the seller cannot show basic oil changes and drivetrain fluid work, you treat the deal as riskier, and you price it accordingly. You can buy a Santa Cruz for cheaper money than the popular rivals, then drive it for years with boring upkeep, and boring is the reliable win. Next up is a full-size truck that looks older on purpose, and that dated label is exactly why the deals still exist. Number 6, Ram 150 Classic. This truck is old school and proven, so it stays cheaper to keep alive. Ram 150 Classic sticks around because it looks like yesterday's truck, and dealers would rather sell the newer body with the bigger screen, so this one gets treated like leftover stock. That helps us, because the Classic is a known platform with huge part supply, and any local shop can service it quickly without luxury markups. The reason it sells slowly is not weakness. It is that buyers confuse newer with better, and this truck is honest about being simple. Our year split is really a seller split, so we target clean private owner trucks, and we treat obvious fleet work rigs with caution, because long idle time and skipped fluids turn cheaper into costly catch-up. Keep engines clear on camera. Many trims use the 3.6 V6 with an 8-speed automatic, and some use the 5.7 Hemi V8 with an 8-speed automatic, and both can be reliable when oil changes stay consistent and the cooling system stays healthy. New price. When it was still sold new, the starting MSRP was roughly $47,600, depending on cab and trim. Used price common clean examples run roughly high 20s to high 30s, depending on year, miles, and configuration. So the audience can see the discount gap without guessing. The comparison beat is easy. Park it against a similar year F-150 or Silverado, and you will often see the classic for cheaper money with similar utility, because it is not the fresh status choice. Now the inspection, and we do it like a mechanic, not a fan. Cold start it and record the sound, because a clean idle that stays smooth is what we want, and any persistent ticking needs a firmer negotiation or a walk. Then do a parking lot creep and feel the 8-speed behavior, because harsh shifts can point to neglected fluid or calibration issues that become costly later. Look at the hitch, wiring plug, and rear bumper step, because heavy towing leaves scars, and scars tell the truth. Crawl underneath and check rust at cross members and rear suspension mounts, because structure is the real budget killer. Before you even drive, pop the hood and check the coolant level and color, because overheating history is where cheap trucks become brutal projects. Look for oil seepage at valve cover edges, and look for fresh undercoating that hides rust, because hiding damage is a seller move. From the side, eyeball rear ride height, because squat and sag can mean tired springs or constant loads, and that changes steering feel. In the bed, look for deep gouges, cracked liners, and tailgate hinge play, because those clues point to overload use. Finally, ask for receipts for transmission service, differential fluid, and brake work, because proof beats stories. And check tire date codes, because rubber fails when towing. On the highway, confirm it tracks straight and stays stable with no steering shake, because vibration plus big tires equals expensive rubber. If you want a truck that is simple to keep alive, this classic can be a steady tool for years, and the next truck is smaller, less respected, and even more shocking in reliability. Number 5. Nissan Frontier. This is one of the most reliable mid-size trucks out there, and the market still ignores it. Frontier gets ignored because the cabin feels old school, and buyers assume Tacoma equals safer. So this truck sits even when the hardware is proven, and the upkeep stays cheaper. In our shop, the Frontier story is boring. It comes in for fluids, brakes, tires, and it leaves, because the drivetrains are simple, and the parts are easier to source. If you want the old workhorse years, the 2005 through 2021 run gives you the 4.0 V6 with a 5-speed automatic, and that combo is not quicker, but it is stable, and usually drama-free, when coolant and transmission fluid are kept clean. If you want the newer feel, 2022, and newer moves to the 3.8 V6 with a 9-speed automatic, and it drives quieter, pulls harder, and tends to feel more modern. But you still shop with records first, because skipped service turns any deal into costly pain. New money for a base Frontier is usually in the low to mid-$30,000 range, and higher trims can push into the mid-40s, while used pricing is where the value shows up, with older clean trucks often sitting in the mid-teens to low 20s, and newer 2022 plus examples commonly landing from the mid-20s into the mid-30s depending on miles and trim. For best value, we hunt 2012 through 2019 with records, because early bugs were sorted and the truck stays tough and simple. It is a solid pickup with a straightforward V6 and fewer fussy tricks, so the ownership feels predictable instead of stressful. For checks, start with a cold start and listen for any chain rattle that hangs around too long. Then look at the coolant and transmission fluid color, because dirty fluid is a warning sign you can see. Crawl underneath and look at frame rails, rear spring mounts, and cross members for heavy rust or fresh cover-up, because structure is the one thing you cannot negotiate away. Check the bed at the tailgate hinges and corners for cracking or distortion, because work use leaves clues even when the paint looks clean. Then do the parking lot creep test and watch for delayed engagement or harsh bumps, because smooth low-speed behavior predicts long-term health. Finish with a short highway pull and a coast down. You want straight tracking and no steering shake, because vibration means tires, alignment, or worse. One reason the market talks itself out of Frontiers is the dated dash, but the upside is fewer gadget failures, which is realer value for a keep-it-forever owner. For older trucks, we treat 2005 through 2010 automatics with extra caution on cooling, because a neglected radiator cooler can contaminate transmission fluid, and that is brutal if ignored. Inspect the service paperwork, because pink, foamy fluid is a walkaway signal. New price, low to mid-30s, with higher trims reaching the mid-40s. Used price, mid-teens to low 20s for older clean trucks, and mid-20s to mid-30s for 2022 plus. Number 4. Honda Ridgeline. This truck has almost everything: comfort, utility, and reliable daily miles. Ridgeline gets mocked as an SUV with a bed, and that joke is exactly why you can buy one cheaper than it deserves, because most shoppers want truck image more than daily comfort. It is unibody, it rides calmer, and it uses independent rear suspension, so it stays stable on broken pavement and does not beat you up on long commutes. The reliability payoff is the proven 3.5 V6 paired with conventional automatics. And the simple rule is buy the truck with the clean story, not the lowest price. 2017 through 2020 uses the 3.5 V6 with a 6-speed automatic, and it is a solid choice when service is documented. 2021 and newer move to a 9-speed automatic, and those later trucks tend to feel more refined and more efficient, but you still test for smooth shifts at creep speed because neglected fluid makes any gearbox act weird. New money for a Ridgeline generally starts in the low to mid 40,000 range and climbs into the high 40s to low 50s with higher trims, while used pricing often lands from the low 20s into the mid 30s. For clean examples, with mileage and trim doing most of the damage right now. For the sweeter deal, shop 2018 through 2020 with the 6-speed, negotiate strong on tires and brakes, and keep the math solid. Compared to a Tacoma, the Ridgeline usually gives you a quieter cabin, a more comfort-focused ride, and bed features that are actually useful. So for many owners, it is the smarter tool, even if it is not the job site trophy. Now the checks and do them in order. Pop the bed trunk, confirm it is dry, the seal is intact, and the drain works because water and mildew are electrical trouble later. Demonstrate the dual-action tailgate, swing, and drop, because binding hinges and sloppy latches tell you how the truck was treated. Test the all-wheel drive system by doing a tight, slow turn and a moderate launch on a loose surface. If possible, you want consistent pull and no warning lights, because traction faults get expensive quickly. On the road, hit a rough patch and listen for rear suspension knocks because control arms and bushings are normal wear, but you want the feel tight, not loose and clunky. Finish with a straight highway run, hands light on the wheel, because a good Ridgeline feels planted and calmer, not twitchy. Ridgeline also wins on small details that matter on camera and in the driveway. The bed is composite and resists rust. The rear seat space is bigger than most mid-size rivals, and the cabin storage is smarter for daily gear. Towing is not the point, but it is still capable. And most trims are rated around 5,000 pounds, which covers small boats and utility trailers. Because it is unibody, we pay attention to signs of impacts, so we look at door gaps and tailgate alignment, because hidden damage can make a clean truck feel wrong. New price: low to mid 40,000s, with higher trims reaching the high 40s to low 50s. Used price: low 20s to mid 30s, depending on miles and trim. Subscribe for honest truck buying help. We compare real prices, explain simple powertrains, and give quick checks so you skip costly mistakes every single time. Number 3. Jeep Gladiator. This truck is a niche tool, and if you keep it stock, it can stay reliable for years. Gladiator gets punished because it is a weird niche, priced high new, and most buyers either jump to a Tacoma or they go full size and call it done. That is why you see big discounts and why clean used ones sit longer than they should. Keep it stock, keep it serviced, and you get a truck tool that can be reliable without turning into a costly hobby. The engine choice we trust is the 3.6 V6, and it is paired with either the 8-speed automatic or the manual, and both can be solid when fluids stay clean, and owners stop trying to upgrade everything. The year split matters because early ownership patterns showed more complaint noise, so we lean toward later 2021 through 2024 trucks that stayed unmodified, and we treat first-run trucks with caution unless records are perfect and the steering feels tight. New money varies with trim, but typical stickers were in the high 30,000s to mid-50s, and used pricing is where the shock hits, with many clean examples sitting from the high 20s into the low 40s, depending on miles, doors, and equipment. What makes Gladiator different on camera is the truck shape mixed with real four-wheel drive hardware. So we show the solid axles, the transfer case lever or selector, and the approach angle, because it looks tough and it works in the dirt. Now, the buyer warning: most bad Gladiators are not bad from the factory, they are ruined by mods. If you see a lift kit, big tires, or steering parts that look aftermarket, you slow down and inspect harder, because the famous wobble shows up when geometry is wrong, and that can turn a cheaper listing into a brutal weekend. Start with a cold start, listen for ticking, then check for axle leaks at the ends and at the seals, because fluid loss kills parts quickly. Then do a steering play test, hands at 9 and 3, and watch the tires, because loose joints show up as movement that looks wrong. Drive it at neighborhood speed, then hit a highway, because a good stock truck tracks straight and feels stable, not wandering or shaking. On a tight turn, listen for clunks, because off-road hits bend things. Check tire wear for feathering, because alignment tells the truth. Confirm four-wheel drive engagement in a straight line, then back out, because grinding or flashing lights mean diagnosis. Look underneath for scraped skid plates, dented diffs, and smashed pinch points, because those marks are proof of abuse. If the truck is clean, stock, and it drives smooth, the Gladiator becomes a fun tool you can keep alive with basic care, and you avoid the trap of buying someone else's project. Next up is a full-size truck that got tagged as OL'd. Then the market left money on the table. Number 2, Nissan Titan. This is the cheaper, full-size bargain. Big power with simple upkeep when you buy the right years. Titan gets overlooked because people hear discontinued and panic, and because resale talk makes buyers default to F-150 habits without thinking. That fear is your cheaper opening, because the Titan can be a simple big truck when you choose the right years, and you buy one with proof. We focus on the latter sorted run with the 5.6 V8 and the 9-speed automatic, because it is a conventional setup with a real torque converter feel, and it stays reliable when you keep oil and coolant service consistent. Earlier trucks can still be solid, but we hunt 2020 through 2024 first, because the 9-speed era tends to feel more refined, and because parts and updates are easier to track. New pricing in its last years started in the low 40s and climbed into the 60s with higher trims, and used pricing is where the value shows up, with many clean trucks landing from the mid-20s into the low 40s, depending on miles and cab. Compared to a similar year F-150, you often save thousands, and that is real money you can keep for tires, brakes, and the first service. What makes Titan different on camera is that it feels like a work truck, not a rolling gadget. So we show the frame rails, the hitch receiver, and the tow wiring, because those parts tell you if it lived an easy life or a hard life. Now the inspection, and this is where people get lazy and pay later. Start under the hood, check reservoir levels, look for dried coolant trails, and sniff for sweet smells, because overheat history is costly. Then look under the truck for rust at cross members, rear spring mounts, and the spare area, because structure is the long game. Walk to the rear and study the hitch. If it is bent, rusty, or the wiring is hacked, assume towing and inspect harder. On the test drive, do a cold start. Wait for the idle to settle, and listen for any roughness that does not calm down, because misfires are not ever normal. Then do a parking lot creep and light throttle rolls, because the 9-speed should feel smooth, not hunting or slamming. At highway speed, it should track straight with no steering wander, because vibration plus big tires equals expensive rubber. Do 2 brake checks, light then firm, because a truck that shudders under braking is telling you about warped rotors or front end wear. Next, listen for differential whine on a steady cruise, because that sound gets worse, not better. If it is 4-wheel drive, engage it on a straight line and confirm it locks in, because flashing lights mean sensors or actuators, and that becomes diagnosis money. Finally, read the service story, oil changes, coolant, transmission fluid, and diff service, because receipts keep the truck predictable. Buy a clean Titan, and you get a big truck capable with cheaper buy-in, and you are not trapped by badge pricing. Next is number 1, the truck most people ignore for a stupid reason, and it is the easiest to keep alive. Before number 1, subscribe. We spotlight overlooked trucks, share proven years, and give simple inspection moves that keep your wallet safe long-term for you. Number 1, Chevrolet Colorado. If you want a mid-sized truck that stays reliable without badge tax, this is your pick. Colorado gets misread because trims look confusing, prices swing wildly, and some buyers still believe a smaller truck cannot do real work. That confusion is exactly why clean Colorados sit, and why we can buy them cheaper than the cool badges. Pick the right spec, skip the loaded off-road ego builds, and you get a truck that stays reliable and easy to keep alive. For older trucks, the proven play is the 3.6 V6 with a conventional automatic, because it is common. Service is predictable, and parts are everywhere. For newer trucks, many trims use the 2.7 Turbo 4 with an 8-speed, and the power is strong, but we only like it when the history is clean and the feel is smooth, because turbos punish bad oil habits fast. Here is the year split we use in the Bay. If you want the least drama, we hunt later years of the older generation, where bugs were sorted, and owners had time to rack up records. If you want the newer cab and tech, we buy the newer turbo era only after a long test drive and a hard look underneath, because the wrong owner can turn a bargain into costly regret. New price reality depends on trim, but most new Colorados land from the low 30s into the mid 40s. Used pricing is where the value shows, with older V6 trucks often landing in the mid-teens to mid-20s, and newer turbo trucks commonly sitting in the mid-20s to low 30s when miles are reasonable. Compared to a Tacoma or Ranger at similar miles, the Colorado can be cheaper, and that gap buys your first tires, brakes, and fluids, while you still stay ahead. What makes the Colorado different is that it is the right size tool, easier to park than full size, easier to load than tall heavy rigs, and still capable for work runs and weekend hauling. On camera, make the trim problem obvious, because that is where buyers get trapped. Put a simple overlay that shows engine and transmission by year, then point at the truck you want and say why, because clarity saves wallets. Now, the inspection checklist, and we do it in order. Cold start first, listen for rattles, then watch the idle, because a healthy truck settles quickly and stays steady. Next, do a parking lot creep, because low-speed shifting exposes neglect, and harsh engagement is a warning sign. If it is a turbo truck, roll into the throttle from low speed and watch for delayed boost, surging, or weird hesitation, because that is where trouble hides. Then hit a rough road, windows down, and listen for suspension clunks, because off-road pretenders get hit hard and they rarely tell you. After that, highway time, one pull, one coast, one lane change, and you are listening for vibration and watching tracking, because a straight truck feels stable and calm. Stop and look at the bed and tailgate, because deep dents, twisted hinges, and cracked liners scream abuse. Now get under it and look for fresh scrapes, bent skid plates, dented cross members, and torn splash shield, because underbody hits are the hidden damage that makes alignment and steering feel wrong. Check tire wear on the inner edges, because cheap lift kits and bad alignments chew rubber quickly. Finally, demand service proof, oil changes on time, trans service when due, and coolant that looks clean, because receipts keep your ownership predictable. Wrap recap. Quick buyer map, no fluff. Santa Cruz is for the commuter who wants a bed, a quieter ride, and simple ownership. Ram Classic is for cheap full-size space and a huge parts supply. Frontier is for mid-size buyers who want predictable V6 life and low-drama miles. Ridgeline is for daily comfort with real utility, plus that bed trunk that stays useful. Gladiator is for niche owners who keep it stock and avoid costly mods. Titan is for full-size power with brutal depreciation that becomes your bargain. Colorado is the right size work truck when you pick the right spec and skip the confusing traps. We buy the right years, keep powertrains simple, and demand clean records with proof. Which one would you trust for the next 5 years? And what is your real budget? That is the smart play. Click the video on your screen. These trucks are cheaper because people chase badges. Subscribe for honest prices, reliable years, and quick checks before the clean ones disappear out there.